is extraordinary, it is vital, and it is stimulating as well. So you, the face of Brazil, have to use every tool that you have, not simply to reclaim your democracy, but also to expand that democracy, to make it more inclusive, to talk about issues that need to be talked about that have not been talked about. You need to do that. Culture provides us this framework of discussing and talking and discourse, because it recognizes our value, each of our values individually, and it recognizes our values collectively. So it is vital that we continue, and knowing that it is dynamic, that it is a continuous process. The civil rights movements in which I came of age in as a child was simply a continuation of other movements to reclaim African Americans' dignity and freedom and their space in the democratic process as citizens, ordinary citizens, demos, ordinary citizens who reclaim and take the position as simply not only for the change, but the transformation of themselves as well. Clear, and make that is very clear. I was very impressed when Maria spoke about the situation in the favelas, where more black people have been killed in the favelas than at the point of the dictatorship. That more people have been killed. We have to recognize that. We have to come to terms with that. And we have to fight with all our might, just as much as we fight for all the other dynamics that we think important in our life. We have to fight for those who are the least. The fact that I, from my own experience, remember in my presence as a child, my great-grandmother, who was born in the year 1853 in the United States. So she was born a slave. She was born a slave. So I'm descendant of that. That is a part of my culture and a part of my historic memory and a part of me. So when I walk in the world, wherever I walk, whether it's Brazil, the United States, Africa, anywhere, I know that I have work to do constantly on behalf and memory of my grandmother, in memory of my mother, in memory of my great-grandmother who was born in 1853. These are the implants necessary for us. That while it is continuous and culture is continuous, it must be proactive. It must not rely on its past accomplishments and what it has done in the past. It must find new territory. It must find new agendas. It must find our search for humanity. Paul Robeson, the great actor and humanist, who spoke more than 12 languages, whose father had been born a slave, has said repeatedly, as an artist, his fight is either to remain a slave or fight for freedom, ongoing. He realized the value that he had in the world. He realized the value that he had as an artist and a citizen. He was not only simply an artist, he was the most advocate supporter of organized labor, of men and women organizing themselves. He would have been proud, and I'm sure he knew about the Workers' Party. He would have been proud of the work that they've done and the accomplishments that they've made. So we are at this defining moment. At this moment, President Lulu spoke of the idea of imagination. He said that through imagination, we see ourselves and our neighbors and the other other organisms and beings of the earth. It is through imagination that we can re-envision other ways to form society. Re-envision other ways to form society. Albert Einstein, the great scientist of the 20th century, said that imagination is more important than knowledge. So imagination is key. Imagination is the bread and butter and breath of culture. It is the bread and butter and breath of culture itself. We will recover this imagination, this capacity for the sacred, or we will vanish as a species. We have to use that, imperative that we use that imagination for not only our own salvation, but in saving ourselves through that imagination, we save the planet, the Mother Earth, which is so desperately in need. Rico, an artist, a young artist, is taking his work and using his work as a platform for change. We have to encourage more artists to use that platform, to use where they are in that space for change. That is the way in which we can keep imagination, culture, and all the dynamics that feed our society in check. A great poet once wrote a poem many years ago, Langston Hughes, considered the poet of the African American. He said, I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They tell me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh, eat well, and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. No one will dare tell me to eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too sing America. We have work to do. You are on the path and on the right side of history. But that is a constant battle, a continuous battle against those forces from the right, those forces who want to disenfranchise, to make us feel that we have no value at all, that we contribute nothing to the human species, that they, with their resources, with their wealth, are the ones who should govern. They, with their resources, their wealth, are the ones who think that they should be to make the decisions that affect our lives. We say no to that. Our culture must constantly say no to that. That culture must be rebellious. That culture must incite us. It must incite us today. It must incite us tomorrow. It must incite our children as well. Obrigado.